You're watching The Whole Living Show on Trajectory TV.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It is The Whole Living Show, and we are here this Wednesday evening. So glad to see you. So listen, this evening, we don't have an amazing guest for you, but guess who we have? It's me, your reset coach. And we're doing Connected Conversations tonight because we got to talk about walking into 2024 ready to conquer your days, ready to conquer that full year. So, whatever you did not get done for 2023, we're going to start right now getting ready for 2024. And I say count fourth quarter as part of your 2024. Okay. We're getting ready for the new year. We're going to be fit. We're going to be healthy. We're going to be strong. We're going to be energetic. We are going to live our best lives out coming in this new year, meaning closing out the fourth quarter of 2023 strong and going into the new year ready to go. So before I get into that conversation, though, I wanted to talk to you about breast cancer awareness because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I don't even know if you can see, but my shirt is pink. Going to be honoring breast cancer awareness all month this month and be wearing pink as well. And I want to talk to you. If you don't know my story, I am a breast cancer survivor and thriver here. So this is near and dear to my heart. We'll be getting out there to walk a little bit later in the month for the causes, for some of the major corporations, nonprofit organizations that assist with helping people who are living with breast cancer and just who need that assistance. And we're going to talk about what that means. But I wanted to give you some statistics here because the numbers are growing and it's quite alarming. And when we get into these connected conversations about how to walk into 2024, I'm going to be talking to you about that as well, because, there's some things that we can do to mitigate, try to ward off, our bodies, being susceptible to cancer and any other illness, right? There's a lot of things that we can do to be really proactive about our health. And that's what I want to help you with, because I do not want you to get to the point that I was at. I don't want you to get to the point of a diagnosis. I want you to be able to live and thrive and not have to worry about your body. Now, listen, we can't determine everything that's going to happen, but we have to do our part. We have to be responsible. As my coach, Dr. Lauren, always says, we have to be good stewards, and we have to be good stewards over everything. And our health is one of those major things that we can really be good stewards over. So let's talk about some of the stats, because I really want you to understand where, this goes and how things happen and how things are happening over time. And the numbers are growing even from when I had breast cancer, which was 10 years ago. So whoop, whoop, I'm 10 years surviving and thriving here, but the numbers are growing. And I can remember being a part of a support group when I was going through it, and there were always new women coming in of all races, all colors. This disease does not look at, who you are, right? It doesn't care about your race. It doesn't care about your color. But there are some stats out there that talk a little bit about what's happening. So I want to give it to you. These numbers. The first that I'm going to give you is from the CDC. So I want you to know that these are credible. They're coming from a credible source. So I want to give you this. It says about 42,000 women and about 500 men die each year from breast cancer. And Black women are at the highest rate of death when it comes to breast cancer. And each year in the US, about 240,000 cases of breast cancer diagnosis are taking place in women and about 2,100 in men. So even our men out there are being diagnosed with breast cancer. So we want to mitigate this for both the women and the men. Okay, so here are some symptoms that the CDC is reporting on how you can, become aware of what to look for when it comes to symptoms for breast cancer. So the first one is, which you would all know, right? The common one is if you find a new lump in your breast or your underarm. Now, I want to mention when they say new lump, it's because we should be doing our individual examinations where we are checking everything on our breast, where we understand the density of our breast, we understand the lumps and bumps that are already existing there, how our breast feels. We want to make sure that we continue to understand what's happening in there and know our own bodies and know our own breasts. So when they say new lump, they're saying, okay, you've been doing your self-examinations and now you've discovered something that doesn't feel right, that was not there before. So that's when they're saying new lump under your breast and your underarm. And it's very important to make sure that you're including your underarm in that self-examination. Most people don't tell you that, but you want to do that as well. So when it comes to that, also some symptoms are thickening and swelling of your breast, any irritation, any redness or flaky skin. Most people don't attribute that to the breast cancer. If there's some type of discharge, and of course, if there's any pain. Now, I will say this just from my experience and having caught breast cancer early, and I can remember standing in the shower and there was a sharp pain that shot through my right breast. And I went to the doctor and, I went right away. Like the very next day, I went to the doctor to try to figure out what was going on. And my doctor took the precautions and I got all the tests done. Well, once I got the diagnosis, they were saying that, a sharp pain is not normal in cancer until it gets to some of the later stages. And I was early, thank God. It was, for me, initially, they said it was ductile. Then when ductal, not ductile, ductal, we're going to fix that. But it was ductal and ductal carcinoma. And they discovered that there was some invasion when I actually had surgery. But for that early on, pain is not normal. So if you're feeling some pain, you want to make sure that you're getting to your doctor, you're getting the right advice. Pay attention to what your body is telling you. But I wanted to just give you that. Some of the risk factors that they mentioned that we cannot change is age. They're saying that most breast cancer diagnoses are found in women that are 50 or over, that there may be some genetic mutations, that there's a reproductive history there. So when they say that, they mean like either you've gotten your menstrual cycle before 12 years old or, menopause is happening after 55. So you want to just be aware of that because that, they say, kind of exposes you to the risk of cancer more. Any dense breasts we talked about earlier. History, if your family has a history of breast cancer, you want to make sure that you know that. And there are tests, genetic testing that you can get. So, and I'm sure your doctor and even your insurance companies will support if you know that there's a history of breast cancer in your family, then you can get the testing done. They're called BRCA1 and BRCA2. It's BRCA 1 and 2, where you can go and find out if you are genetically predisposed to breast cancer. So you want to make sure that you do that as well. And then the other one is exposure to a drug that was out from 1940 to 1971, the year I was born. Yep, I'm telling my age. It was a drug that was out to prevent miscarriages, is also known to increase the risk of breast cancer. So if you have taken that drug before, you want to make sure that you also are speaking to your physician so that you can make sure that you, check yourself, make sure that you don't have it. So now I want to talk about the things we can change, because this is going to take us into our connected conversations. So some of the things that we can change, and I love that they put this here on the CDC website, because they're not only paying attention to what medicine is offering, but also some of the things that we can do for ourselves. Hello, beautiful Jamie Lane, my sister from another mister. Love you, my dear. Thank you for joining. We are having connected conversations tonight, and we're talking about breast cancer awareness right now. So I'm just giving some of the items that we can change, and we're going to get into how you get ready for the new year with these connected conversations, and how to really stay healthy. And I'm glad that the CDC was reporting this on their website as well. So it means that they're not just focused on the medicine, they're also focused on telling people to live healthy, to be proactive. So some of the things that they mentioned, and I'm going to expand on that. Thank you, my dear. I love it. And I'm so glad that you are here. I want to expand on that also, though. So they're saying the things that you can change is a lack of physical activity. You can increase that physical activity. Now, I'm just going to give you one tip here before I go through all of them. If you are not a person who says, I don't like going to the gym, I don't want to be in the gym, I don't want to run, start off walking. Walking is so effective, and you guys have probably heard me say this a lot, but start off walking. So I'm going to give you that one tip. But they're saying a lack of physical activity is something that you can change, and it also attributes to the risk of breast cancer. So number one that you can change: obesity after menopause. Number two, they're saying that you can change, and that just comes with, your diet and your exercise and your stress levels, reducing your stress levels. So you want to make sure that your body is at a healthy weight that you can maintain. And we're not saying that you need to be super thin, right? Or you don't need to look like an Instagram model. We're not saying any of that. We're saying your body is at a healthy weight. It means that your bone density and your body can carry the weight comfortably and suitably for you to be able to live healthy. And you have to figure out what that is, either with a coach or trainer or your doctor. So if you need help with that, I'm here for you. I would love to help you with that. And we can check your numbers and make sure that your body is just living in a state where you are ready to thrive. Okay, because that's what we're talking about here. We want you to be able to thrive so that you can do all the other things that you have to do, right? Okay, so here we go. Taking hormones. So if you're taking hormones, you need to speak with your physician, whoever gave you the hormones, and you want to make sure that your dose makes sense for your body, and see if it's helping you in terms of having them consistently measure where your hormones are in relationship to you taking that medication. The other thing they're saying is pregnancy after 30 and not breastfeeding. So breastfeeding is essential. It's something that you can do that's going to actually allow your body to go back into a healthy state after pregnancy. It's going to help to reduce those hormones, because when you're pregnant, the hormone levels kick up, the estrogen kicks up, even the progesterone kicks up. So you want to make sure that you're managing those levels. And breastfeeding allows you to do that. It allows your body, it's almost like a calm down, right? You know how when you run and then you start stretching afterwards and your heart rate starts to go down? Well, that's what breastfeeding does for your body too. It's like a calm down. So it helps you to lose weight after pregnancy, and it helps to reduce those hormones. So you want to make sure that if you can, right? And another thing to speak to your physician about, but if you can, breastfeed when you have your baby. And then drinking alcohol. So alcohol, and I can remember going through my process, and I went to my original doctors, and I found an oncology surgeon right at my local hospital. But then I went for a second opinion with Sloan Kettering in New Jersey, and one of the things they really harped on was alcohol consumption. because of the levels of sugar that alcohol has, you want to make sure that you are mitigating how much you're actually drinking so that you can keep your body in a good state, especially if you've already had breast cancer. You want to minimize the amount of alcohol that you're drinking. Okay. The other thing is smoking. Smoking is a known carcinogen. So you want to make sure that you either stop or reduce that dramatically. And again, work with your doctor to do that, or a coach. And then changing your hormones due to lack of sleep or a change in your sleep patterns. So how key is that? So I know most of us, we are powerhouses out there. We have so much to do, and the amount of sleep that we get is probably a lot lower than we should. I know for all my powerhouses, sometimes we don't sleep, and I'm guilty of this. So me as the coach, I'm going to tell you this too. Got to be really transparent about how we live life, right? And how we help people. And I can tell you that is one of my weaknesses when it comes to my health. I can do all the other stuff really good, but the sleep is hard for me. Oh my God, that's right. Loving life. Absolutely. So sleep is something that's really essential. And when you don't get it, you definitely increase your risk of cancer. And one of the reasons for that is sleep allows your body to repair. So when you're not able to repair and restore your organs and refresh, basically, while you're sleeping, you don't allow your body to operate in the manner that it's supposed to, and then you increase your risk of cancer. So we want to reduce that. And I'm going to add one. The CDC didn't have this, but I'm a big believer in reducing your stress. Your stress levels, can get that out, stress levels. Try to say that 10 times fast. Your stress levels will definitely increase your risk of cancer. So you want to be able to reduce your stress. And listen, I'm a big proponent of just breathing. Sometimes you just need to stop and breathe. You take a deep breath and you start to feel your body calm down. The anxiety goes down. So if you're getting that sleep and then you're learning how to breathe through those stressful moments, you're going to be able to put your body in a better state. All right. So in honor of breast cancer awareness, we want to make sure that we are, one, honoring the survivors and the thrivers out there. We want to remember those who have passed on, who were in the fight, and we want to love on people so that they don't get to a diagnosis. So I just wanted to mention that. We're going to be talking about breast cancer awareness all month, and we'll be talking about different areas of ways to mitigate and just things that you really need to be aware of so that you can mitigate. All right. So here we go, everybody. So we're going to be talking about connected conversations. We're going to give you a quick commercial, and then we're going to get back into this conversation because I want to talk to you all about being able to thrive in the new year. All right, here we go.
Hi, everyone. Jeanette Ramos here, CEO and President of It Takes a Village Housing. It Takes a Village Housing is a nonprofit organization that houses women who have been affected by drug and alcohol use while having their children live in transitional housing. Services to include drug treatment, mentoring, counseling for the kids, parenting. We set them up with employment. We help them get everything that they need to get them out into the community. Go to our website, ittakesavillage1.org, and donate. Donate whatever your heart desires, and let's change families one at a time.
All right, and we are back. So you saw It Takes a Village. Make sure that you go to the website, everybody, and support the efforts there because they're going to be helping families out in New Jersey, my home state. Woo-woo. So I had to give them a shout out. So we have connected conversations here, and I want to talk to you all about preparing yourself for 2024. And the time to do that is now. So I know you may be saying out there, well, it's only October of 2023. Yeah, this is the time where you get yourself ready for 2024. And some people even start earlier than this. So you might be late, but it's okay, right? Because the time to do anything is right now, right? The only time that we have is right now. So I was watching a podcast, and it was talking about And on that podcast, Dr. Benjamin Hardy said, if you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. I thought that was great. I don't know about you, but I just thought that was great. You get to keep them. So stop arguing for your limitations and let's figure out how we are going to go into the new year thriving, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm always going to go through the basics because these are things that everybody out there knows, but we take for granted, right? So I'm going to show you this. I know it's a little hard to see and the label is green, so it's a little bit harder to see, but water. I was watching somebody's live who is into health and fitness and wellness, and he was talking about the number one supplement that you can take is water. And I'm sure you probably didn't even think about this as a supplement, right? But it is. So the number one supplement that you can take is water. The rule of thumb is either half your body weight in fluid ounces or 4 ounces every hour in order for you to stay hydrated, to keep your body in the best state. Your body needs water because it's made up mostly of water. So you want to make sure that you replenish it. So I know you probably heard all these before, but we're going to go through the basics because I want you to hear this until you do it, right? How long does it take you to create a new habit and keep it, sustain it? So drinking water is one of those habits. I'm sitting at my desk right now. I keep water bottles at my desk. I take 2 and 3 water bottles and put them at my desk at a time when I'm sitting and working at my desk. I take them with me on the go. So I'm never without water. Say you get stuck in your car, right? And you're waiting for, I'm going to use AAA. Sorry, AAA, but I'm going to use AAA. You're waiting for AAA to come. Sometimes it takes hours, especially depending on where you are. You might need this, right? So take it on the go, because if you don't have anything to eat or anything else, this will sustain you for hours, right? For days. But I'm just saying, we don't want you to be stuck for days. So for hours, take your water with you. Okay? And just remember to keep drinking. And we have these beautiful apparatuses now, right? Called cell phones. They have great reminders on these things, right? Let me see my sparkle. Just got to show my sparkle, because I love a little sparkle. But they have great reminders. So you can set an alarm. There's different apps that you can use that's going to remind you to do the things that you need to do, like drinking water throughout your day. Yes. And I see my sister out here saying, maybe I need, yes, I know. Yep. You got to get me, Jamie Lane, on this one. I know. And you know what? We're going to talk about this since we're talking about water and plastic bottles, because plastic bottles are killing the earth, right? They are definitely killing the earth. And they have chemicals in them that will seep into your water. And I know, and I'm saying this knowingly, and I have a plastic bottle. So see how beautiful people in your life keep you aware and keep you accountable, right? Because a glass bottle is always better. Or here's the thing that I'm striving for, Jamie Lane, my sister out there. This is what I'm striving for, to get a filter on my faucet that will ionize my water, which is so much better than anything else, even better than any water that you can buy in a glass bottle. You can ionize your water right from the faucet. It's going to filter that water to take out everything that you do not need in that water. So that is the plan. Not for 2023. So I'm still, got to get the water in, but absolutely, plastic bottles are horrible. So thank you for pointing that out, because that was great to mention. The filters are amazing. If you've ever seen, so I gotta share this, because if you've ever seen people do the test who provide you with the water that's filtered with an ionizer. And some of them you can actually carry around with you, the ionizers. They don't have to be like these big machines that you put inside your house under your faucet and you can't take it. They have ones that are portable that you can carry with you anywhere you go and ionize your water. So if you've ever seen the test, there's a balance test that they do. And they tell a person to drink the water from the plastic bottle that's acidic, that may have chemicals seeping in it. And then they tell you to drink the water that's coming from the ionizer. You're so off balance with the water from the bottle versus the water that's coming from the ionizer. Now, here's a clue though too. If you're packing your water to go and you have an ionizer, don't pack it in a plastic bottle. Okay, I just had to say that. So once you make the switch, get rid of the plastic bottles. But I just had to make a little funny there because sometimes I have seen people do that. And that's not the best either, because then you're kind of, it's a mute point, right? So we talked about water. I want to talk about movement also. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be a lover of the gym. And we talked a little bit about this when we mentioned some of the CDC things that you can change. But I'm not saying you have to be this lover of the gym. I'm not saying you got to go and run marathons. I'm saying get movement. And they said weekly, I was looking at the American Cancer Society, and they say weekly. I don't say weekly, I say daily. Get movement daily. It doesn't have to be some rigorous workout routine. Like I mentioned earlier, you can take a walk, but you can also go up and down your stairs. If you have a staircase in your house, go up and down your stairs a couple of times. Just stop what you're doing, especially if you work from home, right? As I do, you're working from home, you're sitting in a chair, get up. You should be getting up every hour and a half to get some movement, or at least to stretch your body so that you're not cramping up your body. You start to shift things when you're sitting too long. If you don't know that, I've been going to a chiropractor, and your body will go out of alignment when you have been sitting too long. So you don't want to do that, because your spine sends all these signals to the rest of your organs so that your body can properly function. So if you're not allowing your spine to stretch and be in the position that it's supposed to be in, then you're going to take your body off alignment, and then you're not going to get the signals to your organs from your brain to your organs that you need to in order for you to function the way you need to, right? So we want to make sure that we're getting up, that we're getting movement, stretch. So I mentioned walking up and down your stairs, taking a walk, do some jumping jacks, do some squats. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, but if you get up every hour and a half, I guarantee you that your body, you're going to start to see changes. You're going to start to build muscle. You'll start to see some toning happening. You'll start to see the fat dissipate, because you're burning calories and you're going to burn fat, and you can do that throughout the day. And I always like to mention people that I follow. So I follow a guy named Dr. Holistic, if anybody knows who he is. But he mentioned the best way to build your body. And I was so happy when I heard this, because I've been preaching about this, and I call it intermittent exercise. But he said the best way to build your body is to do things throughout the day, to do exercises throughout the day, because you're keeping your body conditioned to the movement, right? And then that muscle memory just stays and stays and stays, because your body's used to the movement throughout the day. So, and I love to tell people who are all sitting down all the time to do intermittent exercise. Right? That's what you can do. So every hour and a half, do something that's going to give your body movement or exercise. All right. So we know about these things. We know about the drinking the water. We know about the exercising. We're going to talk also about sleep. And we mentioned that before when we mentioned the CDC actions, right? But sleep is so essential, you guys. And I know, like I mentioned earlier, I am at fault with this, but you want to make sure that you're doing this. Your body really needs to replenish, and the only way to do that is to get sleep, and you can't catch up on sleep. So you got to start today to get more sleep. I am going to just vow right here today, right tonight, I'm going to get my 8 hours, and you need 7 to 8 hours of sleep as adults. Kids need more. Teenagers, and I'm looking in the direction of my son, because teenagers need more than that. They need like 10 hours of sleep. So when you start to see your teenagers sleeping more, it is natural. It's hormonal. They need more sleep than we do. So don't fault them too much for that. Their bodies are going through different changes, and they need more sleep. So sleep is essential. It helps you repair. You want to make sure that you're doing that. And I'm going through these items really quickly, because these are things that you already know. I just want to put it out there for you again. I want to drill it in your brain. I want it to be part of your subconscious, so that is something that you continue to do on a regular basis, so much so that it's like driving your car. Right? Because you don't think about driving anymore. You get in your car and you just drive, because if you're adults and you've been driving for a while, it's something that you're used to. For the kids, if you've been riding your bicycle for a while, it's something that you're used to. So we want you to grow those habits, build those habits that you're just so used to that they are second nature. Okay. So you're going to continue to hear me say this throughout when we have these connected conversations. If I'm talking about how to build health, these basic things, right, that you can control, I want you to do on a regular basis. Okay. And the other one that I had for you, I had more sleep, is going to be the food. Okay. So listen, again, I always like to listen to other sources because I learn when I'm listening to other people as well, right? To keep my mind fresh and to keep me growing in my healthy journey. So I was listening to Titus Unlimited the other day, and he was saying that, we are the only creatures who eat for comfort and pleasure. Yeah. So of all the creatures on the earth, we are the only ones, human beings are the only ones for comfort and pleasure. Every other creature out there eats out of necessity and nutrition to sustain their life, right? So they don't overdo it. They don't underdo it. They just do it the way that they need to in order to be able to sustain life. So they're not being greedy about it. They're just taking, what God has given them and saying, you know what? I need to eat now because I need the energy to take care of my babies, or, to go out there and run around, right? Sometimes they run around just to keep their bodies in shape. And animals instinctively do these things. Why don't we? Right? Why don't we? Taking notes the other day for our show in October. Yes, I love it. I want to speak about perceived luxury. Oh, yes, absolutely. I can't wait until that show. So listen, everybody, I got to mention it. Radical Press is out. Radical Press magazine is out. The first 2 issues for August and September are out. You want to make sure that you go to radicalpress.org and get your copy. Yours truly is a contributor. My beautiful sister there is the founder of that magazine. And I'm going to keep saying this. It is a whole experience. So you want to make sure that you jump in and get the magazine. So we appreciate you being here and listening to us. And we're going to be talking about awareness. And she says, because we have been far removed from nature, absolutely, that's why we don't follow our instincts. They've been mutated. Absolutely. And, some coaches will talk about being grounded, right, with nature. I'm going to give an example because I love that you said that, Jamie. I want to give an example because I just thinking about, COVID and like connecting with nature again. So there was some beauty that came out of COVID, right? If we were paying attention. And, that is not to lessen, what happened. And we're not going to get into the propaganda of it all. I don't want to lessen what happened, and I don't want to lessen the lives that were lost throughout the process. But there were some gifts there too. And I want to talk about that part of it right now because Jamie Lane mentioned nature. I started to recognize nature a lot more, and I got out and I took walks a lot more, and I was breathing in more oxygen and getting a lot more vitamin D because I was outside walking so much, because I refused to allow that situation to just completely keep me stuck in the house, right? I didn't want to feel like I was in bondage. I didn't want to feel like I was in jail. And I didn't want anybody to tell me how I was supposed to live. So I got out and I took walks because I was like, the thing that they can't control is me going outside and walking in nature. And I did not wear a mask to walk because I wanted to breathe. And I wanted to bring in oxygen because your body needs oxygen. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about too, that your body needs oxygen to thrive. So, but I appreciated nature so much more. And I can remember walking and seeing a honeysuckle bush that was blooming. And I probably just didn't notice this honeysuckle bush before because I wasn't walking as much. I don't know. But it took me back, for one, because I used to see a lot of honeysuckle bushes when I was a child. And we used to take the flowers off and we used to suck the honey out of the flower. Okay. And it was the most amazing experience. But to see the bush during that time period, and I always said, like, I felt like the grass was greener and, the trees were blooming a lot more during that time period of COVID. But, because we were polluting the earth less, people weren't moving around as much and doing the things that subjected our planet to the things that kill off all the creatures, the living creatures, right, that we have. So that's right. Honeysuckle is the best. But, we weren't moving as much and we weren't polluting as much. So, everything just seemed better. And I could, it was like I heard the birds louder, the flowers were more in bloom, and the colors were beautiful. And so I don't want us to lose that. I know life is as getting back to some sense of what people will call normal. And I'm putting up my quotes because I don't even know what that really means, right? But some sense of back to the way things were a little bit. Even though things have changed, they are coming back to the way they were. So I don't want you to forget about what Jamie Lane put in that comment about, like, getting in touch with nature. And, people talk about hugging trees and being grounded and taking off your shoes and being able to put your feet on the dirt. Don't take those things for granted. Listen to the birds. I can remember when my son was little and I was always like rushing to my job, right? And I used to always say to him, like, okay, we got to go. And he's like 2 and 3 years old, and he's looking at every ant and every leaf and every flower and just looking up at the sky. And he still has a habit of looking up at the moon. He's fascinated by the moon, and I love it. And I had to stop and think in those moments when he was little, like, stop and enjoy this with him. Don't take that away from him, because nature is beautiful. And we need to start recognizing what's around us and what God has given us here on this earth. So don't take those things for granted. Still now at 16, him and I look at the moon and the stars all the time. And we're fascinated by it. We look at the clouds, like something that we still do, but take a moment to recognize just the splendor that's around us and what we have at our exposure that we don't even have to pay for. It's not about money. It's not about anything, but it's giving us so much life. I want you to think about that as you are. And this also will reduce stress. And we're going to talk about stress too. But I just want you to remember that, because Jamie Lane, you brought up such a good point, and it just reminded me of just really appreciating nature and what we have around us. Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that you guys do that, because it's just beautiful. It's beautiful moments with your kids, for one. And it's just beautiful to really just recognize. I always say to my son from time to time, I'm like, you just look at what God created, right? Like, we can't do that. We as people, as many things as we invent, right? And we are great. We have great minds. People have great minds. But for all that we invent, we cannot create life like that, right? We cannot duplicate what God has given us. So we need to cherish it. We need to be good stewards over it all. So when Jamie Lane mentioned the bottle, right, this is one of those things. And I know in some states, and I'm from the state of New Jersey, and they're getting rid of things like plastic, right? They've already done away with plastic bags that you get from stores when you're shopping. And that's going to continue, right? If we want to preserve this earth and we want to have a long life, that needs to continue. So don't take nature for granted. Make sure that you are appreciating it, loving it, and just being responsible with it as well. So we're going to talk about the food. So before I got into the conversation of nature, I was talking about the fact that we are the only creatures that eat out of pleasure and comfort, when every other creature eats for nutrients. So I want you to make sure that you're paying attention to what you're consuming when it comes to your food. And that goes for everything, but we're talking about food right now. But when it comes to your food, I want you to really pay attention to what you're consuming. And the reason why I'm mentioning this, because we just talked about breast cancer awareness at the beginning of the show. And there's so many things out there that we are consuming, we're allowing ourselves to put in our bodies that create cancer. So one of those things is, and I thought I had an example here, but I don't. One of those things is packaged foods. So I want you to think about how many packaged foods you're eating. And I want you to start reading labels on your packaged foods to see what's in them. Now, the beauty of, what's happening here is you have to disclose, the manufacturers have to disclose what's in your food, right? And don't be caught up with, like, most of the ingredients are listed. There are some things that you'll see, like natural flavors, that you may have to question and dig deeper on, right? Because what the heck does that mean? And natural flavors may not be so natural. So don't get caught up in what you think may be good for you and is not. But if you understand the ingredients, and you know that they're whole ingredients and it's just something that they put in a package, okay, fine. Maybe that's okay to eat. Look at the contents of your sugar and your sodium in those packages as well. But pay attention to what you're consuming. Make sure that you know what it is. If the name is too long and you absolutely don't know what it is, look it up, right? Research it. But then, if you don't have time for that, 9 times out of 10, just say, you know what? I don't even understand what this is, and don't get it until you have the opportunity to research it to know, because there are some long names that are derived from actual plants, and then there are some long names that are actually man-made chemicals. So you want to make sure that you know the difference and that you know what you're putting in your body. Now, I would say as much as you can, eat raw. Raw foods are going to be the best for you. So as many fruit and vegetables as you can eat. Make sure that you're buying them raw. Eat them raw as much as you can. Go on binge raw weeks. Do things like that to make sure that you're consuming more, and you're going to get the most out of that food. You're going to get all the vital vitamins and minerals that you need from that food when you're eating it raw. If you don't like the texture of it and you can stand, maybe making a smoothie or juicing it, get it that way. There's nothing wrong with that either. You're still taking the raw food and you're just breaking it down so that you can consume it better. And because we are creatures of pleasure and comfort, if you need the pleasure from your food and you feel like you're going to get it better if you juice it or smoothie it, then go that route until you get used to eating it with the texture of just consuming it and having to chew it. And now I will say this, because I'm giving you all the information about taking care of yourself for 2024. When you start to eat raw, the chewing is better because the chewing allows you to digest your food better. The chewing process helps the digestion process, which is one of the most important functions in your body. So just remember that as well. Chew, and chew some more. Okay. Now I want to get out of the basics of what you already know, because I know those things you already know, but I just wanted to, again, just keep drilling it. I got to just go in on you. We're going to be here, right? Ooh. So the other thing that I want you to do is, you're getting ready for 2024. I want you to read to start fueling your mind. Read to incite some imagination and creativity. Read to just gain more knowledge and wisdom. Read. And I just mentioned something that you can read that's going to give you a whole experience. We've got Radical Press magazine that's here. You can read that. And not only will you be able to read that with when I tell you all of your senses will be touched with Radical Press magazine. So you will start to invite creativity and imagination when you start to read. And that's just one of the good publications that you can read that's going to allow you to do that. And reading also helps to reduce stress. One of the ways it helps is, maybe by reading something, you're able to take your mind to another place, right? So whatever you were stressing over, whatever you had some anxiety over, you're now taking your mind somewhere else so that you can start to reduce that stress and anxiety and put your mind in a different frame. We have to start reframing our brains when it comes to doing the things that are going to allow us to live healthier. So that's one way to reframe, and it's reading. And I know these are things now that most people don't tell you to do when it comes to living healthy. So I want you to get in the habit, because not only is it going to help you in your life and your business, right, or your career, it's also going to help you in your health. And I want to say out there to all my bad ass ladies, right, because I am talking to the ladies right now. I coach ladies. Men, I love you. I absolutely love you. But I do coach ladies. So I'm talking to all these badass ladies who are nurturers, who are, about getting things done, who are always on the run. I want you to know that it is a priority that you take care of yourself, and that it is hard for you to function and operate the way that you need to for all those beautiful people that you serve, right? If you don't take care of yourself, it's very hard for you to do the serving at the optimal level. So I'm talking to you guys because I want you to really get this. We're going into 2024. We're already badasses. We're going to be even badder when we get to 2024, and it's going to start right now. So one of those things I said was read. I also talked about breathing. I want you to take some moments throughout your day, just like you're stopping to get some movement. as you are moving, because now we're going to start habit stacking these things so you don't feel like I got to take moments here and there for all these little things. Nope. Put them on top of each other. As you are moving, getting some movement, start to take some deep breaths with that movement. You're going to start to reduce the stress again, right? You're going to be taking in the oxygen. You're going to help your blood circulate more. Start to take deep breaths. Do you know that most of us don't really breathe? We don't really take it all in well, right? We're taking short breaths. We're not supposed to take short breaths. We're supposed to take long breaths. The short breaths are when you're doing what I'm doing right now, just constantly talking, right? So you're just taking in the air quickly. But when you have a moment to settle down or take your 5 minutes, just take that moment to breathe. While you are exercising, focus on your breathing. While you're getting movement, focus on your breathing. While you are reading, focus on your breathing. Hopefully you are meditating. Focus on your breathing. And I just felt my body just calm down even now as I started to talk slower and breathe in a little more. And we're supposed to be breathing through our nose, in through our nose and out through our mouth. And it's okay to release breath too. And even in a big way if you have to. If you're a meditator, you know that sometimes you need to take it in and let it out. And I could feel the stress just going down right now as I'm doing this right now. And I didn't learn how to breathe until after cancer. I'll be honest with you. I was on the move. I was a corporate girl. I was a single mom. I was moving quick. Everything had to be fast. Everything had to be fast. Think fast, move fast, do fast. Everything was fast. And I did not realize that I was not really breathing until after cancer, right? So I'm telling you, it woke me up. I want to wake you up now before you get there, right? Because I don't want you to be another number on that statistic that I just read for next year. I want you to thrive right now. So I want you to learn how to breathe. I want you to learn how to reduce your stress. I want you to learn how to eat. I want you to learn how to do all those things that are not going to get you to that diagnosis like I did. I learned this stuff after. That's why I'm here now. I'm here to help you learn it now. Because now, today, is the time for you to start living well and taking care of your body so that you can take care of everything else that you need to take care of. So I want you to step into 2024 confident and ready and feeling good and looking good, right? Because you know that you're doing everything that you need to do to take care of yourself. Okay, so we're talking about that breathing. Breathe. Okay, so now we talked about food and food as pleasure and comfort. Well, there's a way to mitigate those cravings. And one of those things is walking. And we talked about walking earlier. And you see how all these things start to tie together. I want you to really see the connection of breathing and eating and sleeping and movement and reducing stress and being able to sleep and repairing your body. And they're all intertwined, right? So when I talked about that habit stacking, you can walk, you can cure your cravings, you can breathe, you can enjoy nature, you can get some sunshine, bring in some vitamins and nutrients. You're going to be doing all these things all at one time. So you don't have to feel like, oh my God, I got to remember all these things. Nope. You can just kind of do them all together because they're all so intertwined. And you'll start to see that not only will it help your physical body, but your emotional state, your mental state, and your spirit. So I want you to start taking a walk and walking off those cravings so that you don't go to the packaged foods that I mentioned before that have all the salt and the sugar and loaded with chemicals, because those are the foods that do taste good. You know, I'm going to be honest. I used to eat them all the time and they do taste good, but they're not good for you. And most people think that, you know, just because you eat it and nothing has happened, that nothing will, or that it's not a detriment to your body because you're used to it. Now, I will say this, your body does get used to certain things, but it doesn't mean that it's having an ill effect. And if you're cutting down your lifespan just because of what you're eating, think about how you can increase that if you just stop eating it. And if you allow your body to get some vital vitamins and nutrients that it needs to really thrive, instead of decreasing. It's almost like, you know what it's like? I'm going to give you an analogy here. When you're eating bad food, it's just like taking a car off of a car lot. You know how they tell you that the car depreciates as soon as you take it off the lot? Well, as soon as you start to eat all the bad food, that's your body is depreciating. And you may not see it or feel it right away, but it's happening. And then as you get older, and if you're, blessed enough to make it to a senior, what we call seniors in this country, in the United States, if you're blessed enough to make it to a senior, but you have all these aches and pains and you have arthritis and the things that they say are normal, there's the glaucoma or the arthritis and the joint pain is happening. And those things don't have to be normal if you are taking care of your body over time. The Alzheimer's, the dementia, people relate them and they say that they're normal for age. They don't have to be. There's other people in other countries that thrive well into 100 years old because they eat different and they move different. So we want to pay attention to those things. And I see here, Jamie Lane says, there have been billions of dollars spent on research to know exactly what chemicals to put in there to spark your dopamine. That's right. And reward centers. That is so true. And I will say this because I live in the United States, right? She says it's sickening business and it's poisoning us. It absolutely is. That's why we need to be aware. And that's why we're here. That's why Jamie Lane and I are here. We want to make you aware of what you're doing. Right? We want to make you aware. We want you to wake up to the things that you really need because you have the control. You have the power. So don't allow somebody to take your power. You can change these things around. And again, like I said, I was guilty of it. I was guilty of it for many years, like 43 years until I got cancer. And then it was like, ooh, light bulb went off, right? Because then I started researching and looking for the information that I needed to be able to take care of my body. But before that, I had no idea. I was just allowing the poison to come on in, and I was eating the chips, and I loved chips, right? I had to change the things that I buy because I was eating all the things that had all the coloring and all the chemicals in it, right? Everything that you see with all these elaborate colors and all the sugar and it tastes so good and yummy, those are the things that are killing us. And there are responsible manufacturers out there. You just have to look for them. You have to go to the places where they are being sold because everybody is not living with the things that are poisoning us or agrees with it. But I wanted to make this known too, because in the United States, there are certain chemicals and color dyes that are accepted here that are not accepted in other countries. Right? So you have to pay attention to those things and you want to make sure that you are looking out for them. And I did a show on this before, giving you all of the thickeners and the color dyes and the preservatives and all those things. I gave some names on those things. If you want to know more about that, reach out to me. I did a whole research on this thing. There's so many different things, hormones and antibiotics, and most of them are known carcinogens, which are things that promote cancer, right? And that's not what we want. We don't want to promote cancer. We want to live without cancer. So I want you guys to just be made aware of this because, like I mentioned before, we are going into 2024 thriving, and we are starting right now, right? So we're waking up. We're waking up our senses. We're waking up our habits. We're waking up to the things that we have knowledge about so that we can thrive in 2024. Yes. So Jamie says dyes can show up as what is referenced as. That's right. ADHD, autism. That's right. And I mentioned, some of them as seniors earlier, like the dementia and the Alzheimer's. And you are absolutely right. Absolutely right. And you wonder why, like ADHD and autism are indicative in certain areas more than others because of the fact that, there's the pollution and there is the things that we are ingesting to allow for those things to happen. So we don't want that. We want to mitigate that. That's why we're here. So I'm going to close out the show, but I'm just going to mention that, Radical Press Magazine is out there again. I want you to also look out for us on And we haven't set the date yet, but it'll be in October. So I want you to look out for us because we're going to be talking about some of the things that Jamie Lane and I were mentioning today here about, just being aware, because we want you to thrive. We know that you have so much to do, that you're gifted and you're purposed and you're called for something here. We want you to be able to fulfill that calling, right? We want you to be able to fulfill the promise that you have on your life. And we want you to do it happy and healthy and thriving. So this has been another episode of The Whole Living Show. I hope that you got a lot out of these connected conversations. We're going to continue to have these to give you more information that's going to help you thrive. I appreciate you being here. Look for us next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are out, beautiful people. I love you all. I thank you, Jamie Lane, my sister. Thank you for being here. And I will see you all next week. Thanks so much.